Yes. Okay, so we can officially start. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, friends. We're happy to see you in our next course, which is provided by Smarter for EU project with help of Romanian Green Building Council. We are here to speak about the topic managing of green building projects, and today we will have already 4th meeting. We have completed 3 already, and we have scheduled also 2 courses by the end of this year, excluding this one. So today we will speak about very interesting topic. Before that, we had topics about some technical aspects of green building. Today we will speak about managing of such projects, and today here with us we have our trainer Ivan, and first of all, we will, for officially start of our meeting, I will give the floor to Eva Mehraimare. She is a representative of Habitat for Humanity, leader of work package 5 of the Smarter for EU project. Eva, please say some words of welcome words for our participants before we will start our work.
Thank you so much, Volodymyr. So as I already said, Eva from Habitat for Humanity. I see that there's many names, so many people who been listening to our courses in the previous weeks. So I'll try to make my little introduction of our project a little shorter. But just for those who are here for the first time, these courses are brought to you by Smarter Finance for EU. It's an EU-funded project funded by LIFE funding stream, which started this May. The project is going to continue for the upcoming 2 years. And besides other countries, the project is being implemented in Ukraine. Its focus, it's on green certification, affordable green certification, and affordable green mortgages. Our goal is to support communication between banks and developers, and to help them create new types of green mortgages, green financial products, which would help to build new types of highly energy efficient green buildings, and also help the people who would like to purchase, for instance, a flat in such building to get the access to a reasonable financial product which would help them to do so. But we also believe that such housing should not only be for the rich, it should not be seen as a luxury. And we are really trying in this project to also support developers of green housing for vulnerable families. So, for instance, municipalities, local state agencies, NGOs, those developers who are trying to find the ways how to bring this quality housing to vulnerable groups. So we are supporting these not only by these courses, but in upcoming 2 years, we also how to support individual projects with more individual types of cooperation, such as consultancies. Before I will leave it here, I'll just say that our consortium is mainly consisting of green building councils and similar organizations around Europe. So we are trying to provide this quite the right, I would say, knowledge of and expertise in green housing on many different kinds of topics. So I would say this is it for me for today. I will now give the space to Andrei Ivan, our today's speaker. I'm quite curious to hear from him about managing green building projects. I think it will be quite quite interesting presentation focused on the practical elements. Andrei Ivan is a managing director at 4Envigo, which is a consultancy company based in Romania. But Andrei has over 15 years of experience with sustainability and development of commercial projects in the area of sustainable housing. So, Andrei, with this, the floor is yours, and we are really looking forward to hear what you have to say today. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Eva. I hope
Eva.
everybody hears me well. Please stop me whenever you have a curiosity, question, or something that it's not clear. I will try to speak well. My voice is not the best voice in the world, but I will do my best so that you can understand what I'm saying. I will share some slides with you today, just as a support for a discussion at the end of the session. I will start presenting myself. Eva did half of the job, so thank you for that. I am indeed working in development for 15 years now. I love sustainable projects. I love to be a leader in developing such projects. And in Romania, I was part of the team developing around 8 projects, out of which 3 projects with Skanska, developer I've been working for 9 years. 3 office buildings with them, top notch, I would say, with the first WELL certified building in Romania. And I will get to that. What is WELL certification and how is that supporting transition to more sustainable projects? I will share some bits and pieces from the experience with other projects abroad. And I will share some videos. I hope you will hear the sound of the videos as well. If not, you will receive anyway the links through the presentation, so then you can check the links in the videos afterwards. Inspirational kind of projects I will share with you. And I aim also to gain more knowledge from you today. So I would like to have at least one good Q&A session, but also to get questions while I'm presenting. I organize the screens now so that I can see the chat in real time as well as the slides. So please interrupt me. I see that we have a quite diverse group of people from private and public, from architects to engineers. Myself, I'm a civil engineer, so the presentation is quite pragmatic, I would say, as Eva mentioned, so a lot of data. If it's too much data, please let me know, then I will try to use more narratives. But usually the slides are only as a support for the narratives I will be sharing. It's not that I have a script or something. I love telling stories, so that's what I will try to do today. Now I will share the screen. Let me see if it's working well now.
Yes, everything works.
Until it's not, because I did something. I stopped
Now we
sharing.
don't.
Yeah. No worries. I will share it again. And I hope can you see the screen now?
No.
Okay.
No.
Yes, now we can.
Perfect.
Now it works.
Great. I open again the chat. Sorry for that.
Yeah.
Also the list of participants. So now I can see everything except your faces. Some of you that did open the camera. Let me see that as well in gallery mode, and then I will start. While I will do this technical stuff, you can see here one of my favorite projects. It's called Powerhouse. It's located in Trondheim in Norway, and it's one of the best projects I saw in terms of the story from concept to reality. Like, what was their aim, the objective from the start of the project when they did the first sketches until they received the occupants, the people working in this building, that are extremely happy with the building. And then we should discuss why are they happy with the building, not only cost-wise in terms of savings on energy and so on, but also from the experience that they have, knowing that this building is contributing to climate risks mitigations. Okay. Just one sec. Show video panel, and now it's all set. Good. So I like always to start discussing like what is sustainability, and I found this definition that I'm sharing now with you on the screen. So it's basically it's about fulfilling the needs of current generations without compromising the need of future generations, while ensuring a balance between economic growth, which we all aim and we strive every day to support, but also take care of the environmental and social well-being. And in the built environment, I see from 2012 a huge shift from how great the project is in terms of energy performance to how is this project supporting the social aspects from the ESG. And we will talk about it today as well, because sustainability as a pragmatic definition for me is ESG. It's simply ESG. Well, we can develop the strategy of a sustainable project by having proof points on environmental, social, and governance. And we will talk about ESG as well. In terms of this startup that I did together with my partner, it's all about customer needs, and we aim to support the customer needs. And based on integrity and respect for environment, we aim to partner up for innovations. And the whole logic for environmental and governance behind the name of the company is that we want to be part of the transition to a neutral future. So by 2030, we aim to support the companies to reduce massively their emissions, but also between 2030 and 2045 and even 2050, aligned with the EU targets, to help them get to climate neutrality. And then, of course, we do that while we map all these advantages on the SDGs. There are 17 SDGs, and we support mainly SDG number 9 in industry, innovation, and infrastructure, sustainable cities and communities, number 11. Of course, number 13 with the climate action. And while doing that, we also focus on quality education and gender equality. The rest, of course, 7 is really important to us, as affordable and clean energy is coming from what we are selling as well, photovoltaics. But we want to be part of this bigger picture, reducing the carbon emissions in the built environment. The built environment is responsible for around 40% of the global emissions, and this is huge number. And the 40% is split between embodied carbon and operational carbon. The embodied carbon emissions are responsible of 11%, while the operational carbon footprint is responsible for 28-29% of the overall emissions in the built environment. And I will explain what is the embodied carbon and what's the operational carbon in the next slides. So what we do is we offer strategic advisory and sustainability action plans according to ESG agendas. We do project management for built environment. As I said, I love developing projects and helping customers build their sustainable projects. We do EPCM in photovoltaics, heat pumps, and so on, any other solutions that is reducing the carbon footprint. And we offer also educational programs and community investment, as we see huge demand on that, and we see the added value being there to increase the awareness. I won't spend too much time speaking about what is exactly that we do in each category. It's basically what I want you to remember from this is the action plan, the sustainability action plan that starts based on your materiality assessment and company's objectives. It's really important to understand that either you're a public institution or a private company, you need to have clear objectives, and these objectives should be aligned with the material assessment, because the materiality assessment is telling you clearly what is the breakdown of the overall objectives that the company have, and then what you need to report based on this materiality assessment. And that's an important milestone in doing the sustainability reporting. And sustainability reporting is becoming mandatory for most of the companies. In Romania and in EU, we have now the CSRD, the Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive. It's a clear directive that it's saying clearly to the companies and public that it's mandatory to report non-financial parameters. So based on that, then we do solutions, making Europe the first digitally enabled circular, climate neutral and sustainable economy through the transformation of its mobility, energy, construction and production systems. This is a reality that we are all in, and we need to stick to this plan. And again, you see the picture with this beautiful house in the right side of the slide in Trondheim, near the station, the station. As you maybe noticed, it's designed with the exposures towards south, with all the rooftop covered with photovoltaics to produce more energy that it consumes. So it's a spectacular project from this perspective. We see more and more focus on adapting the photovoltaics, as today they are one of the key solutions to reduce the carbon footprint and to align with the NZEB requirements as well. Shortly in NZEB, the main requirement is to produce 30% of the primary energy locally or within a 30 kilometers range. So it's really important to adapt a solution that can help you meet that objective. This is one of the projects for our clients that they had two objectives actually: reduce the costs and reduce their carbon footprint. So it's a factory in the western part of the country, and then they had clear objective of reducing both cost and carbon, and this is how they did it. And then our typical clients are clients with rooftops that are having big consumption under the rooftop. So retail, like here are some coffee shops that we just finished installing, and then some other projects in different kind of industries. But the trend is happening in all verticals, I would say. It's happening in manufacturing, in agro, it's happening also in retail, of course, and real estate, as built environment is, as I said, responsible for 40% of the emissions. Now I will share with you one interesting and inspirational movie. I hope you will hear the sound as well. Let me know if you don't hear the sound. I stop now because we don't want to hear this commercial. But bear with me until we get the movie. So now we have it.
It seems there is no sound, but we see the subtitles. It's fine.
Okay. I left the video on because we had the subtitles. I hope you were able to read the subtitles. The main message is that it was possible almost 10 years ago to imagine such a project. And now in 2023, we are obliged in a way for the new projects to think the concept in this way, meaning that we need to be part of the solutions and not the problems, as they were mentioning. Meaning that we need to think circular instead of linear as a model. While we're developing the concept, the geometry, the volume itself, and the materials and solutions, we want to make sure that not only we have a reduced impact on the environment today, using recycled materials as much as possible with a lower embodied carbon footprint, but also in terms of reusing the components of the building after the life cycle of it. Yeah, so it's really important today to address the question, what should we do with this project after 30 years, 50 years, or whatever the life span of the building is. In the life cycle assessments that we do, it's usually 60 years that we consider for the building as a life cycle. Yeah, so that the carbon footprint calculation, the life cycle assessment, is based on the 60-year period. Why should we do that today? Because the taxonomy is clearly showing the objectives, the 6 objectives that are climate change mitigation. So we need to be part of reducing the climate impact, so that we need to make climate change adaptation. And then we need to have sustainable use and protection of water and marine resources. That's something we can do more or less depending on the 6 objectives. But the built environment clearly can do 1, 2, 4, transition to a circular economy, pollution prevention and control, as well as protection and restoration of biodiversity and ecosystems, because now today in the projects we should also consider with a high priority the biodiversity, as it's clearly helping people to focus better, to keep their mental health in order, and also to be more productive. So based on these 6 principles, 6 objectives of taxonomy, we will dig down into built environment to understand what is that we need to do in which kind of phase of the project. But before going there, I'm coming from office market, so mainly I was part of developing outstanding office buildings. And this is just a sneak peek of the CE real estate investment volumes in Q3 2023. And also a sneak peek from Romania Bucharest market. I won't, I won't insist on the numbers. The main message is that we have a growing market in Romania, and we can see it here, the volume and the market trends, the development activity. The main like Class A building were developed between 2010 to 2023, with the huge increase of those in 2015 to 2022. So this is also, in line with the take-up, the market demand, but also with newcomers in Romania, good developers, big brands, and investment funds willing to invest in such properties. And then there are some advantages and disadvantages presented in this SWOT analysis. So this is something I encourage every city to have in their sustainability plan, roadmap, whatever you want to call it. It's important to see your strengths, opportunities, weaknesses, and threats, and then based on those, create the sustainability plan. Now, development steps of a typical project. It's a long process. It starts with the project mission, and then if you don't set clear project mission from the beginning, it might be that while divesting the project, meaning that while selling the project, you're not able to receive the expected results. And what I want to say by that is that we need to make sure that we are in the right context with this project that we are developing. And that means that we need to understand the market. And for that, we need a market study. We need to see what's the demand for each type of the project that we are developing. It can be a public institution, a residential project, office project, doesn't matter, it's the same process. You start with the project mission, then you identify location, and before buying the plot, before buying the land, you need to make sure that you have a long-term planning, market study, a due diligence, which is 360 approach, meaning that you need to see all the technical risks, red flags, legal ones, financials, and so on, because you cannot focus only on mitigating the technical risks. And there are so many risks in while buying a plot, at least in Romania. While you can see some pipes or cables that you don't know that they exist through that plot, it's really important to geoscan, make surveys, that you mitigate the surprises, the negative impact before buying the plot. And then typically we start doing the volume studies. We need to understand how much can be developing in this project, and then we get the GLA, gross leasable area, or usable area in terms of residential per built area. This is a really important indicator, not only financially, because based on that you develop the financial model proposal, but also on the carbon footprint. The project should be as efficient as possible with the usable area per build area above 90%, at least in office development. It's at least 90 that we were making a green light for a project to fly. Then you do the contract negotiation for buying the plot and sign the selling agreement of that. And then you get to this interesting phase, the design and permitting, which is critical, because here is the most added value that you can bring together with a project team in developing a sustainable project. It should be also in the project mission, meaning I want to have a project with a 30% reduction of energy use compared to baseline, or water saving of 30% compared to the standard baseline project. But here is that you need to include in the owner design requirements and basis of design all these criteria. We do the architectural contest, and then after we choose the winner, we start working with the winner, meaning the design team, which is with the architects, the structural designers, the MEP designers, landscape designers, and so on. Auditors, thermal auditors, because all of these competent stakeholders are having a good impact, and they should have a good impact in the beginning of the project. If we don't do it right in the beginning, then after we freeze the technical design and detailed design, then it's really hard to optimize, to value engineer the project. So all the value engineering and setting the construction parameters should be done in revisions, many revisions, while making sure that you can deliver upon our expectations. Then, when you have the technical design frozen, you have the tender package. So you go to market and try to sign a construction agreement. And then you have the bill of quantities and all the plans necessary for doing that, sign the contract, and start planning and budgeting. You receive the offers, and then you start creating the puzzle financially to see that it's flying. And after you make sure it's flying, you go green, you go do the site setup, get the containers in place, fence the plot, try to start to advertise and so on. And then you do the construction, leasing or selling, depending on which type of the project it is. And then fit out works, extremely important these days, and I will share more about what is important today in the fit out that brings people back to the office. Repermitting if necessary, usually in fit outs, because the demand of the tenants is coming way later than the initial design of the building. So it should be like a shell and core, it's called. Like you have the facade, the main areas, the common areas, and then the rest of the floor, it's pretty much open space that you can accommodate and be flexible in partitioning it for the tenants. Then we do the testing and commissioning, which is really important phase of the project. And depending on the certifications chosen for the project, it can be with tests that assessors from abroad are coming and testing the air quality, water quality, acoustic parameters, and then you get a certificate that you comply with the requirements and get a WELL certification. And I will get to that. It's really important to remember that in WELL certification, you get the tests done on site. You do the testing on site. In LEED certification or BREEAM, it's not the case. You only deliver the materials, the documentation, and the energy model and so on, but not testing it on site. Good. And then we have, let's say we completed the project, and then we need to appoint the people that will take care of the project, which is the property management and the facility management company. That's the moment of building handover. They are becoming responsible with operating the project. The lease commencement starts like the tenants in case of an office building, in case of a residential or public, the users of the buildings. Business activity ongoing, and then for the next 6 months, I would say there are fine tunings and small reparations and adjustment that needs to be done for the building. Of course, with the maintenance and repairing plan and customer care program. The divestment, it's a really important one. If the mission of the project is to be divested at the end of the construction phase, then you need to have clear steps with the internal due diligence before doing the external ones, because the investor will come with his team and will perform a due diligence. And that means that you might not be prepared to solve the red flags, the observations from that due diligence, because any investor will scan, will try to identify all the risks related to the project. It can be permitting risks, construction, let's say, problems. It can be operational problems, that the building is not working according to the specs. It can be legal or financial, not clear contracts with tricky companies, and so on. All these are scanned, are checked by the investor. And then, of course, there is a report with the findings. So you need to solve the findings, and the red flag report needs to be attached to signing the SPA. I didn't see any SPA signed without a red flag report. There are typically some points there that you need to solve after you sell the property. So then you need to solve those things before closing, because the closing is the ka-ching moment, the moment that you get the money or whatever the deal is, you do the transfer of the property. And then the post-closing warranties management, because ideally, if you sell the project at the end of construction phase, you still have usually 3 years warranty. And then for the 3 years, you will be in contact with the investor to make sure that you deliver this warranties management. And why I'm saying that? Because we are talking about managing sustainable projects. And sustainable project is what the investors are looking for. They want to see companies doing more than profits. They need to contribute well to society in order to get the biggest investment fund money, which is BlackRock. And this is just an example, but like BlackRock, there are many other investment funds that are only looking for sustainable projects. And of course, it's aligned with the risks of having an asset portfolio with a class B or C or triple C. And then it's really hard to monetize this kind of assets to really stay competitive in the market with those. And then going further in where is the CO2 coming from? In delivering a project, you start, as I said, with the site setup, and then you start getting the materials on site. You need to transport the materials from the factory to the storage, and from the storage of the seller to the site. And all these things, including the installation of the materials, are giving us the sum of the embodied carbon. And this is something that you consume until you finish the project. As soon as you finish the project and you start operating the project, then you have the operational carbon, which is given by the energy consumption. And energy, when I'm saying energy, it can be also electricity and gas and whatever other things that are used to keep the building operational. And this is the split I was talking about in the beginning, with around 11% embodied carbon in the built environment coming from embodied carbon. So all the big buildings that we see around, they are responsible with 11% in terms of embodied carbon. So basically the materials used for building those projects, and 28% from the total global emissions, again, are from operational carbon, the building energy consumption. So then you can imagine, why do we have all these targets that we need to reduce the energy consumption and be more careful while setting the parameters, temperatures, and so on, because all of these are influencing the carbon, the climate, the emissions overall, the global emissions. And on this graph, you can see and remember in the future how is embodied carbon working versus the operational carbon. If you have a project that is starting to be built in 2021 and it's done in 2023, let's say a project is built in 2 years, then this is the whole amount of carbon emission that you keep the same basically for the entire lifespan of the project. The operational carbon is getting this triangle step by step increasing year per year. Yeah, you consume 1 megawatt in first year, 2 megawatts, 3 megawatts, and so on progressively for the whole lifetime. Of course, there might be cases that in the lifetime of the project, meaning after 25 years of the project being operational, you might do a refurbishment, and you might change the equipment because you got alternatives in the market for chillers, air handling units that are consuming way less, or different kind of technology with different innovations. Today, it's a lot about heat pumps as an alternative to reduce the carbon footprint, use the electricity, hopefully produce also on site, because heat pumps are working with electricity, and then electricity, if you have big roofs, then you can use the photovoltaics to produce this energy. And in this way, you can impact and reduce the operational carbon footprint. Because at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure that all the projects in the future will have something like this, called life cycle assessment. We can see this one in all the appliances we buy at home, fridges and so on. I'm pretty sure, because it's happening already, that we see them on the buildings. So then we need to make sure that we have not only the energy certificate of the building that is mandatory in any way to have it, but to have the life cycle assessment of it, and to get the number of this carbon to emissions equivalent per square meter. This is really important differentiator in the future for a building to say and to prove that it's sustainable or it's not sustainable. And typically there is a software used for this one, and I recommend the students or the colleagues in the beginning of the career. This one is something that will grow definitely as a demand from the market. Specialists that will need to do this life cycle assessments. There are only few now, but the energy let's say, experts, auditors are getting also this competence within their teams to be able to deliver such analysis. The software that we are using is One-Click LCA, by the way. It's used by Nordics governments and some Western as well. Not yet in Romania, in this part of the region, but I'm pretty sure it will be soon that the governments will need to use this kind of softwares to analyze the build environment and have it clearly measure, not only rough estimations, because this tool is giving you clear results, data about both embodied and operational carbon footprint. It screens based on the bill of quantities that you have on the projects, how much is the carbon footprint. And I want you to remember that up to 70% of a building total embodied carbon is coming from the structural elements. In Romania, we have also earthquakes, so we design massive kind of elements. And that's why we have 70% coming from concrete and steel. Around 50%, 40 to 50% is from concrete, and the 30% is from steel. Simona is asking, what is the name of the program that calculates the carbon footprint? That is One-Click LCA. You just Google it. Is a guy from Finland, Panu Pansanen, that he's the owner of this Bionova. Bionova, it's called the company. And then you can try to see, they have good tutorials. They can do also some trainings online, and it's really easy tool to use. Simona, you said you are an architect, if I remember correctly.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, so especially for architects, it's really powerful tool that you can use while discussing with your clients, customers in the initial volumes. Yeah, when we do the volumes, the schematic design, and we try to see like what's happening with that project. You can give him really instant data with a module called Carbon Designer. I think I have it in the next slide. So you have this kind of baseline in the design CO2 emission simulation baseline, and then you do the phase-by-phase assessments. But the main thing is that you need to work, if you have, for example, Autodesk, like BIM 360, it works well together. You can connect. If not, you can have the bill of quantities exported in Excel file, and then from Excel you can introduce it in One-Click LCA. So it's pretty friendly kind of platform. And then, as I'm saying, concept design, it's really the area, and together with detail design, but until detail design, is the most added value that you can bring to the customers. How much carbon you can save. And when I say carbon, I'm thinking also about cost, because carbon is cost at the end of the day, both embodied and operational. So as much materials you can reduce, as many materials you can reduce from the concept design, you are able to reduce also the carbon footprint. So keep in mind that this is a tool that you can use with the customers to optimize the project itself. And here is a lot of discussions with architects and structural designers and MEP, because it's a change of mindset from the main focus that we had for many years, that the project should be really nice and welcoming and so on, and have all of these kind of elements. Today, it's also still important, but it's becoming more important to be sustainable. And by sustainable means that we need to have proof points on reducing the impact on the environmental of the project, with the project. And then, once we do the good homework in the concept design, then we go to this detailed design and get more accurate list bill of quantities. And based on those, we can see each element, like foundation, then substructure, vertical structure and facades, horizontal structure, beams, floors, and roofs, and then you can optimize bits and pieces here and there, and so on. And then you have the construction of the project, where you can be more sure about the level of the certification. Is it A, B, C, whatever? If you are able to get to around 300 kilograms CO2 per square meter, that's a really good project. Today we have more and more EPDs, they're called, Environmental Product Declaration. It's a data sheet that is giving you the global warming potential factor. That's the important element that you need from the EPD of that material to include in this one-click LCA. In short, one-click LCA is a software that it's having a huge database with the European EPDs. It's actually global EPDs. So depending where you are located, in Ukraine, Romania, or Sweden, doesn't matter, you have access to this EPD database, and then you can choose materials according to your carbon objectives. In Romania and Ukraine, we don't have yet too many providers of materials with a low carbon footprint. We have, in Romania, at least we have concrete provider, Holcim, that is having a concrete with a 40% reduction in the carbon footprint of it. That's really good. And they were spot on to address with that kind of product the market, because then they will gain the focus from this kind of developers. But still, I just saw last month, that in Sweden they did the first factory with a carbon neutral steel, which is amazing. Again, 30% of the embodied carbon is in steel. How come they succeeded to get carbon neutral steel? They did it. Of course, they are producing the green energy while re-technologizing the factory. It's not impossible. It is possible. And now we see also some local engagement of the big producers in having renewable energy more and more to reduce their products' carbon footprint. Does that make sense? So it's a transition from the linear to circular, from we don't care about carbon emissions to it's mandatory to care, because it will be a huge cost if we don't do that transition rather sooner than later. And I get the question always like, what is the cost of doing a carbon neutral project or a project with a reduced carbon footprint? And I'm always talking about the cost of not doing it. The cost of not doing that is too high. So it's a change of kind of mindset. Because at the end of the day, this is mandatory, and we have in the audience some experts in circular economy, as I saw. So for me, it's really important to see more and more change of shift from the circular economy, building a project without taking care of what's happening while we build a project, after we build the project, and after the lifetime of the project. Because it's mandatory today to make sure that we develop the markets for the recycled material, and it's of course only with legal requirements that will change this one. It can be a differentiator for the developers, but it's mandatory to have it as a legal requirement. We can then design better products, reduce the process waste while producing that, optimize the life cycle throughout alternative consumption, when we talked about different kinds of solutions to reduce the energy consumption, promote reuse. It should be more and more that we will need to buy reused materials, and not only recycle but upcycle as well. Improve collection, encourage recycle, and then invest in infrastructure and close the loop. So it's around these three main areas that I'm at least organizing my thoughts around circular economy. I think we should take a break, because we are now for 1 hour in the call, and a bio break should work well for us, and then we will come back with the next slide, if that's okay for everyone. Yeah, so I see Gabriela saying okay, so thank you for that. We will then take a break.
Yes, okay, so about 10 minutes of break, yes?
Yes, 10 minutes of break sounds good.
Please do not switch off your Zoom, and in 10 minutes we will back.
Okay, and then you can prepare as well the questions on chat. Thank you. See you in 10. Okay, I hope everybody's back, so then we can start slowly but surely. Are the slides still on the screen? Anastasia, you're the only one with the camera on. Thank you very much for confirming. So then we should go further. Let's see. This is one of the checklists for the engineers to start digging at the beginning of the project, together with the architects and MEP designers and structural designers as well. The LEED certification is a really common certification scheme in Europe and in US as well, and it's giving you some scoring. And based on the scoring, you can get just a certification, which is not saying much. And typically, there are no projects like that only certified, because that's like having the score at school below 5. So it's certified, it's only between 40 to 49 points. Silver is between 50 to 59 points. And then you have gold, which are majority of the projects that I know, from 60 to 79 points. And that's in gold, you see also some advantages in cost reductions with energy. And also platinum, which is the, let's say, leading kind of projects. Inspirational projects, and they gain from 80 to 110 points. And here they are splitting the credits by these categories: sustainable sites, water efficiency, energy and atmosphere, materials and resources, indoor environmental quality, innovation and design process, and then regional priority credits. These are the categories, and then based on your, let's say, specifics, project specifics, you can choose to target some of the points with yes. You can see it in each column. Some of them with maybe, and then you know from the beginning what would be with no go. So then you can do the math and make sure that you gain at least 60 points in case of gold, or at least 80 points in case of platinum. Typically, the water reduction is around 30% for the projects in Romania, at least office projects. So compared to baseline, we succeed to deliver 30% reduction in water, basically using smaller reservoirs for the toilets, and also for the water taps with sensors or with button. Then you cannot waste too much water, only with the typical kind of water taps. That's and then of course we use a lot of reused water. So we have rainwater reservoirs. We collect the water from the rain and then use that rain in the building. We get also the water from the sinks. We call it gray water. We have a gray water reservoir. We filtrate that water and then give back to the toilets. So basically, as much as you can do in reusing the water inside the project, you get more scores. You can get to up to 4 points in efficient landscaping. So meaning that you don't need to water too much the plants. So then you need to choose carefully the plants based on how much water they consume. And then it's always a battle, because the tenants and the users, they want to have the green loans like in the movies. And then for that, you need a lot of water to maintain that loan. The Nordics projects where they don't want to use that much water, for example, they use some plants that are less water intense, and it's really working. In some of the projects, they install them on the roof as well to reduce the thermal load, which is a double win. And then in energy and atmosphere, the MEP, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing engineers, they all contribute to this energy model. And in energy model, they give you, at the end of the day, the kilowatt hour per square meter. And that's really important to compare with the baseline project. And also in terms of cost, you can compare the cost of operating that building to a typical building. And it's really important because most of the agencies and public teams in Romania and governments and so on, they are in buildings, in old buildings that are not refurbished with a high consumption. And NZEB is mandatory for them as well, and for public kind of agencies. So it's really important to make sure that you as representatives of city councils and so on make the plans of moving the teams or choosing the buildings also based on these criteria, because in the future it will be mandatory to stay in a building that is energy efficient and with a lower impact on the environmental. And then, of course, the public is also should be an inspiration for the rest of the private sector. So that's an important tool that you can use to see where you are with the project. That's mostly, so LEED is again focusing on project itself, while WELL is a different certification that is focusing on the well-being of the users. And this is my favorite because I'm more focused on impact on people working in the building or living in the buildings than the project itself. Of course, it's important, the project itself, but is it that same important as the life of the people inside the building? I don't know. WELL Institute is focusing the education on the implemented solutions and wellness areas that directly influence well-being at work, and not only the work. It's mainly used in the office sector, in real estate, but it can be used as well in other areas. In Romania, there are already residential developers, so developers of residential projects that are using the same concepts from the WELL, making sure that the air quality is proper. They started to test the air quality, the water, acoustics of the building, and the parameters of the comfort. So in the air, they're coming with assessors with a specialized equipment to measure the particle matter. They do this on-site testing. They see the PM 2.5, PM10, radon, and all these things are checked, and level of VOC. VOC stands for volatile organic composite. So it's really important to have no VOCs in the building if you want to get this certification. So this is a data-driven kind of performance review, and this is why I love it, because it's a fact-based approach. On-site testing, then you do the performance review together with the documentation, and then you get the confirmation, a valid certificate to prove the performance verification. And why I insist on WELL? Because WELL is satisfying many criteria from ESG. Again, ESG stands for environmental, social, and governance. It might be one of the questions in the quiz. So environmental, social, and governance. It's important to make sure that in each category we have proof points to comply, to make sure that we can prove the compliance with the ESG. Why? Because the investors are asking for the ESG compliance. And in the social part, we see all these areas. Yeah, the people demand for the air quality, the water quality, nourishment, light. Light in the office, it's really directly proportional with the productivity. So there are clearly stipulated in the owner design requirements the length, the distance between the core area to the facade, and also the calculations of the light at the desk level, not only from the light in 500 lux that you need to have according to the norms for the desk at the desk level, but the natural light, which is way more important. Then we need to also include some movement, let's say, enablers, stickers on the stairs, areas outside the building that you can exercise. Then you need to make sure that you have also thermal comfort. And that's happening mostly in the well-designed buildings with the BMS. the BMS is the building management system. It's actually the brain of the building. It's a set of input and output data points that you monitor the performance of the building. So you can do preventive maintenance, you can see if you have a problem somewhere, a red flag. You have instant access through a software that is connecting with all the equipment that is giving this data. In a typical building, the BMS is gathering the data from the chiller, air handling units, fan coils. So the main equipment giving you the air temperature, air flow, in order to make sure that the people are getting this thermal comfort. Sound, as I said, is really important. One, and depending on the users, tenants, and standards, you might get requirements to have 50, 60, 40 decibels requirements from one plant to another one. The part with the materials, again, really important. And as the materials are giving the VOCs. Oh no, VOCs. When we did the first WELL certified building in Romania, it was 2018. And it was a project that Microsoft signed the lease for. And one of the criteria for them was also to have this kind of healthy building. So for them, it was important from the beginning to choose a building that will be WELL certified. And that was the first WELL certified building in Romania. Then we need to make sure that people have areas to fitness, to relax, for the mind criteria. If you are curious about each scoring of these categories, the 10 categories, you can enter the website of the WELL Institute, because this will help you. If you're an architect or a consultant for the developers, then you can help the customers from the beginning to address these needs, as these needs will be differentiated for their clients. So again, really important tool. And last but not least, the community. We see more and more communities shaping around not only office buildings, but in residential areas. And the neighborhood community sense is more and more present, at least as I see it in the last 2 years, post-pandemic, actually. It was the moment of people reconnecting and trying to be happier with one another around their living neighborhood. Where were we? And this is also confirmed by the data from WELL. So starting with 2020 post-pandemic, we can see an exponential growth on the demand for health. And this is coming as a social requirement from the occupants of the building. It's actually our clients, as I like to call them. A tenant that would like to come and rent a building, he's the client, but he has some clients as well, their employees. So it makes sense to make the decision based on their employees' satisfaction today more than ever, because we are living in a war of talent still, and the people need should be satisfied in order for that employer to be successful in the long run. So I recommend not to ignore this kind of demand for health and implement in the projects as many sustainable solutions related to health. Because then you need to take action in several areas that can impact ESG performance, and they are measured and screened, and they will be included in the RFPs, as they are called, the request for proposals from most of the customers. They want to see fact-based health and safety actions taken, diversity, equity and inclusion, employee engagement and productivity, as well as emergency preparedness and resilience. The emergency preparedness and resilience became much more known as a concept post-pandemic, or actually during pandemic, when a new certification scheme was born, and it's called WELL Health and Safety Rated. This one was born in 2020 together with pandemic and helped the owners of assets of projects in built environments to mitigate the risk of spreading the virus. And they have requirements of acting in facility management. How do you clean? How do you reduce the risk of direct contact in the building? Air filtration is really important as well. If you remember what we were hearing back then, it was direct, it was the air transmission, the number one risk, and then it was the direct contact, number two. So they were focusing on both, I would say. And then I was talking about what is that they are checking when coming on site. And here is an extract from the well certification list of substances that are tested, and also the target. So if you want to get to say about your project that it's a sustainable project, you need to manage it from the beginning with these objectives included, meaning that you need to get less than 27 ppb in formaldehyde, total VOCs less than 500, and so on and so forth. We have a problem in Bucharest mainly with PM 2.5 and PM 10. It's quite a polluted city, I would say, that we live in. It's becoming more trendy to adopt the solutions of air filtration at home, not only in the office. Office industry was the first one to tackle this one and have good filters, MERV 13, 14, that were able to reduce up until 98%. Or even 99 instance in the dust spot efficiency. But this is with the high-class filters that can be done. Not only, I mean, this is the categories of filters, for example, MERV. MERV is, we use 13 and 16 for offices. And this is how you get. And then we talk to the users of the building. And it's funny situations usually that most of the tenants, the users of the building, they want to have openable windows. And then we try to explain that if you open the window, not only that you lose a lot of energy efficiency because of heating or cooling, depending on the season, but you get also all the unfiltrated air from polluted air from outside. It's something that is still happening. It's a lot of awareness that needs to be raised, but as a recommendation, it's always better to make sure that you have a good air quality filters inside the building and without using the openable windows. Of course, if you have a location in the forest, yes, definitely you can use the openable windows or mixed mode ventilation and so on. But in polluted cities like Bucharest, then it's mandatory to have this kind of solutions. Good. Not stopping here, we also need to take care about the pesticide management. Managing a sustainable project means that you need to take care also about biophilia, and then you need to make sure that you use the proper chemicals to keep the healthier air. So no evaporation of substances into the air, and less use of chemical substances that positively influences the natural environment. That's really, really important. And it's something that it's happening, I would say, better managed in the last years. Do you remember when we had our parents or grandparents using that kind of sealant for the wooden floor, the parquet? That heavy smell that it's giving you headaches. That's something we don't need, because that's a substance with a high volatile organic volatile composites, and it's something that it's forbidden from my perspective. Should be forbidden in all the projects. Now we have technology, we have materials with zero VOCs. So it doesn't make sense to postpone the decision of looking for zero VOC paint or whatever other material in whatever project you are investing your time and energy. can be, again, office, residential, doesn't matter. There are solutions today with zero volatile organic compounds. And that's something really important to remember. The water tests are also performed by external assessor. So water in the building should be tested with turbidity and coliforms, inorganic contaminants, organic contaminants, agricultural contaminants, because all of these things are risks for the people while drinking that water. And this, in the certified buildings, you need to have a tap with this good quality water in the common areas. So we should be able to go refill our recipients without using bottled water, which is a small thing, I would say, if you consider comparing one building to another one, but it's a huge advantage for our users. And then after we develop and manage really well a sustainable projects, we get to see the ratings from this one is from MSCI. MSCI being one of the biggest screening institutes in the world, and it's used by most of the investors to assess the companies that they are investing in based on these ratings. And I encourage you to read MSCI's report. I will put it in the chat as well. Google MSCI, and then you can see plenty of reports where they are with roadmaps, ESG history, and so on. So if you get the chance to have a AAA indexed company by MSCI, then you have high chances of getting investments from BlackRock and other big investment funds like them. If it's CCC or B, of course, the opportunities are decreasing. So you can see here, you can see here the scoring, but actually what I encourage you to do while you are checking a company or an institution, check their annual report and see where they are with these ratings, because they cannot lie about it. It's a rating that is given by a third-party institute, and then you can have a sense about that company. How is it in terms of actions on ESG? And not only, they give ratings as well for financial and so on. So ESG across your investment process, it's really important for all these 4 areas: defining policy and benchmarking, actioning and integrating ESG, having climate data and ratings to inform asset allocation, identifying ESG and climate leaders and laggards for portfolio construction purposes, and of course, develop active and index-linked ESG and climate products. Of course, it's been used, as I was saying, for the company analysis. So you can identify stocks impacting your portfolio ESG and climate profile, and evaluate the ESG and climate scores of your portfolio by sector, region, and asset class. And it's not going to be a surprise if investment funds having assets in different locations, but with CCC, that they will like to divest if they don't have a clear plan of refurbishments and giving a new life to these kind of assets. So while analyzing your portfolio, make sure that you understand how is the mix of C, B, or A ratings for your portfolio of assets. And I love the most doing the risk management and reporting engagement based on this ESG agenda, because then you can provide greater transparency of key ESG and climate risks across multi-asset class portfolios. You can do support stress testing, risk and performance attribution analysis, make forward-looking assessment to identify ESG and reputational risks. And then, of course, MSCI is doing this TCFD, which is coming from climate financial disclosures. So it's actually what you are reporting. So they do the stress test on that to support climate goals. If you say that you are contributing well to whatever SDG and you're not doing that, then the stress testing will show that. So basically, you need to walk the talk. There is a lot of talking, but it's more important to really walk the talk. So have proof points. That's my recommendation for everything you do in ESG. Otherwise, you might be subjected to greenwash, and nobody wants to be in a greenwash scandal. Good. Then I extracted for you this one as well to encourage you to check for the ESG research and indexes that they are having on their website. And then keep in mind, if you're working for a big investment fund or an institution that you would like to have some analytical solutions, you can ask MSCI to support you with that. They deliver analytical solutions, objective indexes, and benchmarks that are really relevant. Good. And then next, this slide is about future, I would say, because this is extracted from the BlackRock's annual report. I was checking the report to see how many times ESG is in their report. And I encourage you to do this exercise as well, many, many times. And one of the sentence is this one, that BlackRock's EU asset management companies and investment firms will be required to publish granular disclosures relating to the ESG characteristics of their funds and portfolios starting in 2023. So it's actually happening. We need to report. It's mandatory to report on ESG, and BlackRock will require and monitor this reporting. And then this is a link that is sending you directly to this latest annual report from the BlackRock. I encourage you, when you have time, to read it in order to have a glimpse of what's going to be important and material for you and your projects in the future. Here, I know that Elena, the colleague from Romania Green Building Council, explained to you about the green homes. I won't insist with this one. It's really helpful certification locally to get green mortgage approved projects. So if you don't have that in Ukraine, maybe that's a good idea to use to develop something similar with Green Building Council of there, or find a similar kind of certification. And here I put the link for you to, explore more about it. And now I would like to share an inspirational project that is certified with Green Homes. It's the latest project I was visiting and commissioning. And I hope, just bear with me, it will open up and okay. One more try. I will copy this one in the chat as well, so then you can hear the sound if it's not working on sharing screen. Should work, because I shared also with audio by sharing the screen. Let's see. This is one of the few projects in the forest. So the reason of sharing this one is that it's an inspirational project because they had from the beginning the mission of having a sustainable project, not only through the location and the quality of air around the project and the community, but also the energy performance. And we have in the chat some interesting comments that one of the members is involved in the project. Where is the chat? This is the chat. So if you could, Anka, share a bit about the properties of property of these elements. We see that it's Vicona Recline 75, but we are interested, for example, to see how better is that kind of product in terms of energy performance, U factor maybe, if you could share. Triple glass and high insulation. Okay. So basically, that's a leader kind of leader product in the market. If you want to have in the same time access to natural light, but in the same time have really good energy efficiency. So triple glass is something becoming common nowadays in Romania, I would say, but in the good, let's say, projects. Then I have another one also from that, because the first one was about timeline. They were sharing that they built that in 2 years, basically. So it's important to remember the embodied carbon. So they consume the embodied carbon within the 2 years, what we saw in the movie and the time lapse. Now, in this movie, it's about the feeling while you start consuming the operational carbon footprint, but also many social aspects targeted in this movie for the users of the building. So have a look also on this one. Good. So now we got the feeling I got, at least I visited the project, and what I got as a feeling while looking at this video is less than what you get in a real tour. I would say it's an incredible project, and I'm always looking for this kind of projects to inspire myself and to read the stories behind the project. So now we have more input from Anka. Let me read the chat. So Anka is saying that this product is using recycled aluminium, post-consumer scrap, even 100% recycled aluminium, post-consumer scrap, involved in recovering as much aluminium from dismantling old facades in many EU markets. That's great, and that's a huge advantage of aluminium. Aluminium can be 100% recycled, and it is recycled. In the Western countries, we see reused facades. They are reusing all the elements from the facades, even the wood. I visited a project in Sweden where they reused the whole facade of the old building. They had the frame, the wooden frame, and then they used the wood for making some architectural kind of walls, really nice. And then they reused the glass. The problem, as I've heard in Romania with the glass, is the cost of preparing the glass for being recycled. You need, as a developer, if you want to take out the glass and give to a big kind of factory, you need to clean it properly and so on and so forth today. But I'm pretty sure that in the future, this kind of glass manufacturers and producers of aluminium and so on, they will help more in this recycling, not letting all the burden on developers and construction companies. Hopefully. We'll see. Thanks for sharing, Anka. Good. We have also the quiz, but I would like to have first the Q&A, because now we have 2 hours since we are here, and I'm sure you're all busy and have things to do, but it's really important to have a Q&A to make sure that we covered all your interest for these 2 hours. Is there something that you would like to explore more? One area that it was not clear, or you would like to get more information?
Hello. I think at some point you are talking about the MSCI, as in with the ESG scores. So I didn't understand exactly. Are they rating companies also based on, like, I don't know, green locations, but green project development? Or just circular economy?
They are having these ESG indexes. So they screen, integrate, and target. They have companies screened based on that. So let me check some indexes. You can explore here what they're looking for in each part. The methodology as well, it's really fluffy methodology that they are using. It's not something superficial that it's been done. So let me check. This is too much, maybe. I'll try to answer now with some examples.
Okay.
But the best example that comes to my mind now is the company I was working for 9 years. And I was helping also to annual report. And then you can see the results from this ESG rating. So if you go to any kind of company you're interested and give in ESG index, let me check. Yeah, right. Now you see here the index. So this Skanska is MSCI AA rated. So so for the investors like BlackRock, there is a list of investors, and I think BlackRock is somewhere around sixth. They said that they are screening the companies using MSCI index. So you have this index, either you find it directly given to the company in the annual report, or there are some other indexes. Let me check with the history of MSCI index. And you can see it per year, because this is the historical timeline for the ESG ratings. So they started with in the 90s with the social index. So back then it was only about social. And then slowly but surely they added criterias, and they were more demanding in this screening and index. And by 2022, there are many other kind of alignments, as you see here. Like Paris aligned means that it's aligned with the SDGs, so Sustainable Development Goals. How many we said there were? 17 development goals, and those are also included in this alignment of the ESG index. Bloomberg as well, because they have also good tools to make the ratings of the companies and so on. So I would encourage you to explore the MSCI and see how is it working in reality. And you have all the materials that you can also download. This one I am using more while discussing about annual reports and so on.
Okay, thank you.
Well, while getting the answers, like, why do we need to report all these things? Why is it so important? Nobody cares. It's actually many people and many institutions, they care, and not to mention the investors. Anka is asking in what form the taxonomy system is implemented in Romania. I would say now it's a free will. Who wants to be compliant with taxonomy and who's not? It's something at the beginning. It's really fluffy and a lot of readings that you need to do if you want to get on board with that. I would say that we have a good level of taxonomy compliance in real estate with the new investments in office and residential. Because of these certifications that are helping to reduce the impact on the environment on one side and contribute to the other five: climate adaptation, climate mitigation, sustainable use and protection of water and marine resources, transition to a circular economy. I would say that the challenging stuff in Romania is the transition to a circular economy in taxonomy in general, because of the mindset. Back in the days when our grandparents were using everything, they were really living a circular economy, as I remember it. Reusing the bottles for the water, beer, and whatever. Nowadays, because of the consumption kind of trends that we have, you can throw everything from the fridge one day, and the next day you can fill it in again with whatever you want. It's so easy. So I think that it's a process. It will happen, but step by step. And the law that will be, or is actually in these days in action with bottles that you need to recycle, and then we pay more for a bottle of whatever, drink and so on. It will make people more responsible, I hope, at least, because they will go back and take the whatever 25 0.25 euro cents, if I remember correctly, or something like that. So 25 bani, as we call it in Romania, 25 bani, something like that. 0.5 RON. Super. So it's 10 euro cents, basically, that we are paying now more for a bottle. Okay. Good. I'm really curious to get the discussions going with Danut Stanciu, because he's the president of the NGO involved for the future, working with all nationalities in Romania and abroad. They create connections between construction sector and recycling industry. We deliver team buildings too. That's important to know for planning the next buildings. But can you share more Danut that I didn't share? Because definitely you have more expertise in this circular economy transition.
Yes, hello. So mainly what we are doing, we create this kind of connections. For example, the NGO I represent and company which is partner of us, which is collecting waste. They work together for Skanska projects in Iuliu Maniu, Sector 6 in Bucharest. And they fulfill the waste requirement for LEED Platinum, if I'm not wrong, at that moment.
Yeah.
So in this area, we offer the let's say proper knowledge for the waste collector in order to deliver proper services in waste management for the client, which is a builder or constructor.
Great to hear that we have a common project in the past. Actually, 6.1 was my favorite project, my baby. I started it in 2016 and delivered on 2018, and then I escaped in Sweden for 1 year. But that's one of my favorite projects. My babies, as I'm calling them, my concrete and glass babies. So happy to hear that you supported us with that, because we had high targets in improving the amount of recycling. Skanska has a target of 5% maximum sent to landfill, which is really tough target.
Thank you for your support too.
Thank you for sharing. It's a small kind of world, but slowly but surely we are more and more that we will support this transition. I'm pretty sure. Having also the audience, great audience today, I am really optimistic. I live also in Sector 6, and was amazing how Skanska dismantled the old factory, recovering all ceramic tiles, steel and glass, leaving only small concrete rubble. If you're referring to Puma project, I think, yeah, this is something we weren't involved. We bought a plot empty from dismantling, but they knew that we would like to, the campus, yeah, we bought the plot empty like that. But yeah, it's really important because we did a due diligence, of course, scanning the soil and so on, making sure that there are no contaminations and so on, and we carefully started with the mission of that project. But what I remember in terms of community engagement impact back then was when we did the connection with Iuliu Maniu, and we had to post some nice messages for the people that we didn't want to disturb while doing the connection area, pedestrian and for the vehicles. And it was really well received by the students and the people living around that project. So small things make a difference. It's just that you need to show that you care. Good. How are you ready for the quiz then? Let's see if it's working. I will try to copy the link again from the Slido. It's a web platform, really easy to use. I put it in the chat at the beginning, but I should have it also here somewhere. No, I don't have it yet. So try to go to slido.com. I will put it now in the just a moment. Try to access the link now in the chat, or you can access directly slido.com. Whatever option works for you. And then use this kind of number. This one. We got a message that from Reminska that it's not working, so try again. And then this one, I put all the options. One of them should work. And then I will see here how many people we have joining the poll. We have Raluca that joined. Well done, Raluca. So I will wait a few minutes for others to join as well. We have Anka as well on board. It's a short quiz. Now people are joining. We have 5 participants waiting for more participants to join. We have in the call, how many are we? We have 41 participants in total. So it's only 6 that we have now. Volodymyr joined as well now. Welcome, Christina. Seven people. Come on, let's join more so then we can start the quiz. No hurry. If you need again the link, just write in the chat. But basically, we have then all the options here. Reminska, did you try the last one as well? Last link from the chat. And it's still not working? I managed, okay, because I don't see you in the list. Oh, yeah, you join now, together with Sergey. The notes as well. So we have 10 people. Come on, 25% of the people are here. I will wait, no problem. I stop sharing because now I will just look on the dashboard and then I will share the results with you. The aim of the quiz is to make sure that we We will remember some of the important stuff discussed today and then use them in the future. So no worries, we will recap all of these 7 questions together at the end to make sure that we know the answers. It's just another learning opportunity. We have 11 colleagues joined. So I would say that we will start in maximum 3, depending on how many will join by then, but I think it's reasonable that we will wait 3 more minutes and then we start. So please use the links in the chat and join. Thank you, Svetlana, Ruslan, you joined as well. Well, people joined. I hope the others are not driving. If you are driving or something, don't join. That's okay. It's better to drive safely than doing this one. We can do is or listen to the results at the end. I will wait 1 more minute. We have 12 people joined. I will need your help, Gabriela and Anastasia, because you have the camera on. While I will be starting the quiz, just to confirm if you see the questions, to make sure that it's working. So we have 12 people, 30 seconds more, and then we start. Good, so now you should be able to see the first question. How many sustainable development goals are set? Wow. Great, correct answer. 17. Well done. Where CO2 comes from in the projects? We have 10 answers. 2 more colleagues are thinking still. 1 more is thinking. Aha, now we have 13 people. Good. So this one is with 54% answers embodied in operational carbon. Well done. That's the correct answer. 8% embodied in carbon from transport and 38% from materials used for building the project. So again, CO2 comes from embodied carbon, the materials used for building the project. That's 11% of the total emissions globally. And the rest is from operational carbon, meaning the energy used for operating the building. Good. Next question.
So sorry, Ivan, it was tricky one because it's not, you said the project. Project
Okay.
means the construction, not the building itself, isn't it?
Good feedback. Yes, I will consider it. But yeah, I mean, while we define the project, then we define, yes, the building. But that's a good one to note for the next quiz. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Are there any on-site testing in LEED certification? So we spoke about LEED and WELL, and one of the certification had testing on-site. The other one didn't have testing on site. Which one was? We got 14 answers with the 50-50%. So the correct answer is no. And having said that, the next question is, are there any on-site testing in well certification? Now it should be simple, knowing that the other one was with the no, right? So we already have 7 answers, 8. 11. 13. 5 more seconds. The correct answer is yes. In the well certification, the external assessor is coming and doing the on-site testing. What does ESG stand for? Employment, social and growing, environmental, social and governance, or entertainment, social and governance? Easy one. 9 answers. 11. Should be around 13 or 14. 12. We have one answer, or yeah, it should be one answer because it's 8%. So, entertainment, social and governance. It's actually, yeah, the correct answer in this one is environmental, social and governance. How much do structural elements contribute to buildings' total embodied carbon? Structure elements. Up to 70%, 99%, or 30%? We mentioned about concrete being responsible with around 50%, 40 to 50%, and steel with around 30%. So both concrete and steel are part of the structural elements. Okay, we have 15 answers now with 73% of the answers on the correct answer, which is up to 70%. Which rating is given to a company leading its industry? AAA, BB, or C? We have 7 answers. 11. 30 seconds more. And we have 15 answers. Correct answer is AAA, of course. That's the leading scoring, the company leading in its industry. Okay, so we have finished the test. Congratulations. We have finished the quiz. I will try to download the results. So we had 16 out of 16 Slido participants engaged. 17 5 answers correctly. For the first question, the trickiest question, as I see, was the lead one. Are there any on-site testing in lead? 50-50. It was 8 colleagues said yes, and then 7 colleagues said no. And the correct answer is no. And maybe to clarify, all the checks are done based on the documentation, and all the criteria are checked on site by the project team, not the external assessors. In well, the external assessors are coming and testing air quality, water quality, acoustics, and so on. Okay, and the rest of the questions were pretty much answered correctly. There were still 4 answers with 30% in the question of how much do structural elements contribute to buildings' total embodied carbon. So again, up to 70% is the correct answer. Structural elements being like concrete and steel. 30% it's the steel itself. Okay. Okay. So I will export this one. And thank you very, very much for joining today. It was great to see all this diverse audience and good input from the chat. I'm checking now the chat. Maybe I missed some things. Where is the chat? Chat. Okay. Could you share with us your presentation? Of course. I will send it to Eva, and I think she will share it to all of you. No worries. And then use that presentation as well with the links and yes, exactly. The links are included there. Yes, in the presentation. And try to read as many reports as you can, because from the annual reports you can see who's leading industry, and you can learn many things from those leading companies and inspirational projects as well.
Also, I want to say that for our Ukrainian participants that we will share this recording of our meeting together with presentations. Please follow the website of Association Energy Efficient Cities of Ukraine, its Facebook page, where we will share all this information for you and provide the contact information of Ivan in case of any maybe private questions. So please find this information on our website, and also the information about previous courses also available on the website of the association.
Thank you for that comment. And to that point, please feel free to connect on LinkedIn or other social platforms to keep in touch and share best practices in the future and learn from each other. So you can, I'm very active on LinkedIn actually, because there I can find people with the same areas of interest, and I'll try to share my LinkedIn link.
maybe if some other questions, please feel free to ask.
Absolutely. That's why we are still waiting for some Q&A. Would be great to connect. Anastasia, you need to go to a different meeting, to another meeting. Thank you as well for joining, and keep in touch, Anastasia. Mhm. And I'm more than happy to see you around. If you get a chance to visit some of the projects in Romania, give a call, and we can meet and discuss more about your interest areas. Or when I will be visiting my friends in Ukraine, also visit some of the projects there. Looking forward to get more kind of stability, and that we will be able to share more good practices and work together to a neutral future.
Yeah. Okay. And
climate neutral. Yeah.
Yeah. Please, Ivan.
No. I was just mentioning climate neutral in terms of EU objectives and what most of the companies are aligned now to deliver up until 2050. And of course, with the Repower EU and the Fit for 55 and all the initiatives we have in EU. Okay, I guess I will keep in touch with you on LinkedIn and other ways. Thank you very much for today. It was great seeing you and sharing this information with you. Have a good week also, and stay safe.
Thank
Bye.
you, Ivan. Thank you one more time for all of our participants. I want to remind that we will have one more course this month, scheduled for November 29, and it will be about near zero energy buildings. So it will be very interesting also. And at this time, at this moment, I want to say thank you, Ivan, for the very interesting and interactive presentation. I hope everybody will find that information not only interesting, but useful for them. It will help us in our work, and for Ukrainian participants, for Ukrainian beneficiaries, I want to say that this information will help us to rebuild and build the better country that we had before. Thank you, Ivan, for your presentation, for your work. Thank you one more time, and see you all, friends, on our next courses. Thank you very much for this, for today. Thank you. And also, thank you to our interpreters who helped us to understand each other. Thank you, ladies, for your amazing work.
Thank you as well, again.
Yeah, hope to see you next time, and bye.
See you. Bye.
Bye.